Go. All right. I want to talk about cooperation versus competition. In this country, because we're capitalistic, we think that competition is great for everything, for absolutely everything. So we see, it's like that old saying, if you only have a hammer, you see the whole world as a nail. That's kind of how we deal with capitalism. We think that, okay, everything should be competitive. And even within companies, there's a management style that will compete people against people, even within the same company. And I think that's just absolutely foolish and wrong. Okay.
Before we get into examples, where do you think that started from? I mean, age-wise, do you think we learned it in school? Do you think we've always been competitive?
I think it's a societal thing, because we are a capitalistic society, and there are benefits to having companies compete for customers, because each company will try to improve such that they provide a better product. That's a good thing to constantly improve. However, competition doesn't work for everything. You only can go so far in a society having people compete for stuff. Okay? You also look to nature. People will look to nature and say, well, look, nature, it's the way of the world, it's the law of nature and so forth, which is just the wrong way of looking at it. Because in nature, there's finite resources, because animals have to compete for naturally occurring resources. Well, ever since we started farming, we were able to unnaturally produce resources without having to compete for it. So I think that it's just a mistake in how we analyze things and how we justify things for why everybody should be competing with each other. If you look at the software industry, there's a lot going on in the software industry of open source and putting things out there for free, a lot more on the internet. People doing things because they like to do them, and they put them out there for people to enjoy and to be able to get benefit from. And nobody's trying to, and there's no competition there necessarily, right? Other people will join the open source project, and they cooperate, and they produce something great, and then they just give it away. It's a whole new way of thinking. And I think that we need to start thinking as a society about just in a different way. I mean, at least our generation, right, was always brought up, competition, and there's communism was bad, and when we were told the story of the little red hen, and which was a rewritten version from the story that they told in Russia, right? And, look, and we've been proven right that capitalism is the way to go, and communism isn't, because communism failed. Well, radical communism radical capitalism is just as bad as radical communism. Radical anythingism is bad. There's a balance with everything. And I think that there's a certain level that you can get to as a society with competition. And then you plateau. And what you need to do at some point is start cooperation and thinking about a society that cooperates more than competes. When you have people...
Okay, the first two things that come to mind is like cancer research, stem cell research, important issues that are life-saving issues, and we're still competing.
Right. This idea that competition is always good and that we benefit from competition is a mistake. It's only having a single tool and then seeing the whole world as a nail. That's basically the point. And that there's some things where cooperation is actually going to move us as a society forward better. And it's the same, if you look at companies where they get people to compete with one another within a company, how's that benefiting the company? If you just got those same groups of people together and made a large group of people and said, okay, so here's our goal, because this goal benefits the company and therefore benefits you. Right? Assuming that's true, right? Because things that benefit the company don't always benefit the employees. But if you can give them a common goal and you have them work together to achieve that common goal, those people can achieve a lot more than if they didn't work together. And if you look, you'll see that all over the place where that's actually going on, but we don't really focus on that as a society.
let me give you some support because I totally agree with you. And I experimented with on my YouTube channels, and I have found that we're all competing for viewers on YouTube. You know, we're all, how many subscribers you got or how many views you got, and it's one big competition, you know, me against other food shows and all that stuff. So I came up with the idea to partner with some of the shows and see how that went. I said, why don't we share our audiences? Why don't we work together and come up with a better format? So I've done it 3 times already. And the 3 times that I have cooperated with other food shows, it's been infinitely better. My views doubled. My subscribers went through the roof. It just helped. Instead of me having 30,000 subscribers and Chef Jason having 30,000, now we have 60,000. You know what I'm saying? Not that it works 100%, but it's so much better. It looks better. It feels better. You don't have people going, oh, I like Chef John better or Chef Jason better. You don't have that. We're all friends. We're all working together. We're all helping each other. And that seems to be the new philosophy of this generation.
Well, I hope so. I hope that the internet will bring that forward more so than it has in the past. I'm just saying, I'm talking more from the United States society, the way in which what we preach and what we indoctrinate people in this country, children in this country, the kind of belief system, and that competition is good, always better to have competition, and that, you know, and then we teach them in sports, all right, competing, and look at how that's better, and there's winners and losers. In sports, you always have winners and losers. And in the real world, why do we have to have losers? If you think that competition is the right way, then if that's your mantra, or your philosophy, the problem is that there's always losers in that equation. But with competition or with cooperation,
right?
Then there can be you can have a win-win scenario. You can have all winners. Now there may be varying levels of win, right? You know, there are going to always be people who win more than the people down here. But you're all winning. You're not splitting and saying, well, these are winners and these are losers, and that's just competition, and competition's great, and it's the law of nature, and so therefore, what are you going to do?
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
All right, talk to you.
Take care.